Përshëndetje, welcome back in this new Albanian lesson. For those of you that have no idea who I am, I'm Claudio, your Albanian teacher, and I've been teaching Albanian for the last 5 years to foreigners, but also to Albanians living around the world. Now, in today's class, we are going to cover a very useful and important topic regarding the negative form in Albanian. So today we will see carefully how can we form the negative form in the Albanian language. Without further ado, let's start with the lesson. Now, the way we form the negative in Albanian is very simple. We have two ways, one which is, let's say, informal, and then the other one which is both formal and informal. So we use it in both conversations, let's say. Whether you're having a formal conversation or whether you're having informal, it's not like, let's say, it doesn't really matter because you can use these forms both. Just keep in mind that the shorter version is more common in the spoken Albanian, and then the longer or the normal version it's used in both languages, let's say, in the formal language but also in the spoken language as well. Now, remember, to form the negative in Albanian, you need to remember these two very important rules. The negative marker should always be before the verb. That's a must. Always it should be before the verb. Now, for example, let's see carefully the informal form. The informal negative, you can form it this way. S apostrophe plus the verb. That's the structure. So, for example, if you want to say I am not, in Albanian you can say un siam. Un siam. Un siam. So we put the S, the apostrophe, and then comes the verb. Un siam. Or I don't speak. Un sflas. Un sflas. Un sflas. So we put the S, apostrophe, then the verb. This is, let's say, the informal form. It's very common in the informal language when we speak Albanian all the time. Then another form, which is also very common, and we can use it both in the formal language but also in the informal, is going to be nuk. Nuk, which means not. And this one you might also hear way more often than S, let's say. Nuk, nuk. So for example, if you want to say I am not, un nuk jam. Un nuk jam. Un nuk jam. Or I don't speak. Un nuk flas. Un nuk flas. Un nuk flas. Now, as an example, we will see carefully today the full conjugation of the verb to be using the negative markers, both the S and also the nuk form. So let's see now carefully the full conjugation of the verb to be or jam in Albanian, using the negative marker. I am not, you can either say un nuk jam, un nuk jam, or un siam. Un siam. Un siam. You are not. Ti nuk je. Ti nuk je. Or ti sje. Ti sje. He, she is not. Ai, ajo nuk është. Ai, ajo nuk është. Or ai, ajo s'është. Ai, ajo s'është. We are not. Ne nuk jemi. Ne nuk jemi. Or ne sjemi. Ne sjemi. Ne sjemi. You are not. Ju nuk jeni. Ju nuk jeni. Or ju sjeni. ju sjeni. And then finally, they are not, ata ato nuk janë, ata ato nuk janë, or ata ato s'janë. Ata ato s'janë. So this is the way we can form the negative in the Albanian language. So remember once again, S apostrophe plus the verb, or nuk plus the verb. That's how we use the negative, or that's how we form the negative in Albanian. Now you might ask, Claudio, which one should I use? More or less? Now remember that, keep in mind that in the informal language or in the spoken Albanian, these two forms are used interchangeably. So you can just choose whatever you like. If you like S, you can use the S form. If you like the nuk, you can use them both. So there is no rule on which one to use less or which one to use more. Let's say this is only for the spoken language. And then of course, if we move to the formal Albanian, then of course you always have to use the nuk form. The nuk form is the one you can use only for the formal. When it comes to the informal, you can use them both. It won't be that important. You can use the S form, you can also use the nuk form. Keep in mind also, this is very, very important, that in the spoken Albanian, the personal pronouns are optional. So we don't really use them. So let's say, for example, you want to say, I am not Albanian. And keep in mind that even for nationalities, in the Albanian language, we have two forms. One for the male gender, and then another one for the female gender. So let's say, for example, you are a male and you want to say, I am not Albanian. You have two forms. You can either say, nuk jam shqiptar, nuk jam shqiptar, nuk jam shqiptar, or s'jam shqiptar, s'jam shqiptar, s'jam shqiptar. On the other hand, if you are female, then the nationality, you're gonna add an E to the male form. So from shqiptar, you're gonna change it to shqiptare, shqiptare. So I am not Albanian. For the feminine, you can say nuk jam shqiptare, nuk jam shqiptare, or s'jam shqiptare, s'jam shqiptare. So always remember, when we speak Albanian, most of the times we don't use the personal pronouns. You can use them if you want, but rule, it's like you can either use them or not. It won't really change the conversation, because basically by the form of the verb, you will know whether the person is I, you, he, she, and etc. You know it, of course, by the context. So always, once again, remember, we form the negative in Albanian by adding either S apostrophe plus the verb, s'jam, s'flas, s'kuptoj, s'punoj, and so on and so forth, or you add the nuk form plus the verb, nuk jam, nuk punoj, nuk flas, nuk kuptoj. So that's how we form the negative in Albanian. I hope the lesson was clear and you learned something new in this lesson. Thank you for watching, and of course, see you in the next ones. Mirupavshim. Goodbye.